Yo, what is up? This is my reaction video on the new TL-7 120 tier 9 premium tank that's going to be in the loot boxes for the Halloween event. Of course, I've already made a couple of videos on this tank, and I suggested that this tank wasn't really worth trying to grind for, to get for, but this is going to be in the loot boxes. So if you're going to buy the loot boxes for the other tanks like the Udarniy or KPZ or whatever reward tanks or premium tanks that you hope to get, you might get this tank instead. Now I got a chance to play with this tank, and I already told you a little bit of history about this tank. This tank has 1500 hit points, 480 horsepower, very low power to weight ratio, 17.14 power to weight ratio on 480 horsepower, very low horsepower, very low power tank. This tank cannot be played without a turbocharger. I tried it without a turbocharger. In fact, I tried to run a gun laying drive on it to improve the gun handling, but no, you have to run a turbo. Without a turbo, this tank is just simply unplayable. Now, in a situation like this, I'd like to be more aggressive and like to be out in the front, but I can't be in front because this is a paper tank. It has no armor. If you are out in the front and you're taking damage, that's the end of you. You have to rely on your team for some kind of support. Either you are supporting them, or they are providing information, or they are providing view range for you. But in this situation, you can see the RU-251 just drove straight into the 7 line and into our base, and I couldn't do anything about it. If I turned back, there was no chance I was going to catch an RU-251. I have to leave it to the Batchat 12T to take care of the RU-251. Now, I'm really disappointed with our light tank gameplay because he was not aggressive enough early in the game, and then now he's falling behind, trying to chase the RU-251, and somehow the RU-251 manages to escape as well. And 2.5 minutes have already passed and I've done 0 damage. I couldn't be out in the front and I couldn't turn back, and basically just lost a bunch of opportunity here to do anything to make something positive out of this tank. And that is the takeaway that I have for you with this tank. It is not a terrible tank, but it is also not a great tank. I am struggling to climb this with my 480 horsepower. I'm hitting W all the way, but it's sliding back, and on the second attempt I managed to make it up there. Now I am going to this bush and trying to take a passive position. Now if you notice, I only have 370 meters view range. Even with BIA crew with food, I don't have my full view range. I don't have 440 meters view range, so it is really weak in that sense, and it has poor mobility. The rotation speed and power to weight ratio makes this tank have a weakness in mobility. It has a weakness in view range. It has a weakness in armor. It has a weakness in engine horsepower. The gun handling isn't that great either with 0.38 dispersion. I am running improved aim, improved rotation mechanics to improve the gun handling. That was a blind shot. I did make that shot, and it will be reflected in the results there. But that was my first clip of damage, doing 1200 damage in that clip. But the game has already passed. It is already 4 minutes past. We are down by 2 tanks and 2.5k damage. I could have shot that RU here if I have shells, but I don't. This tank was nerfed from a 38-second reload, which was the initial plan for this tank. Now it is a 41.23 seconds reload. So this tank was already bad, and then it was nerfed. The intra clip as well, it was supposed to be 2 seconds. It was nerfed down to 2.3 seconds, and the aim time as well, it was 2.4 seconds. Now it was nerfed down to 2.49 seconds. For some reason, they found this tank to be too powerful, and then they decided to nerf it before they release it. I don't know why. To be honest with you, even before they decide to nerf this tank, I already found this tank to be not exactly OP or you know, super competitive tank. But now that they've nerfed it, I can you know, definitively say that this is definitely not the tank for me. Even if I manage to get this tank in the loot box, I will not be 100% super satisfied or happy. This ELC event has been the bane of my existence. I was pinging the map, the middle of the map, hoping that someone would try to deal with that ELC event 90, because the ELC was taking the middle of the map and it had map control. It had the situation advantage because it was basically running the Abbey, and it could spot our base, it could spot their base, and he had a free run. We did not have light tanks that was dealing with their light tanks. Our bad chat basically just tried to avoid any kind of confrontation. He was never ever in the fight, and that was the reason why we did not have any kind of tactical advantage. Although I cannot blame that light tank completely. You know, this is a 15v15 game. You need 15 tanks to 14 tanks to cooperate with you in your team to make a winning gameplay. And now I am stuck in between a rock and a hard place. I have to make a run for it because that Chieftain P is coming for me, and I'm gonna take 40 seconds to reload. I have to make a run for it. And yeah, this is basically the normal gameplay of this tank. Even though you're having a good game, you're doing a fair bit of damage, but you know, trying to take control of the narrative of the game, it is pretty impossible to do it. Now I got a bit greedy here. I should have driven away, but this was a lost cause already. I was just trying to squeeze out as much damage as I could before I died, and even if I was safe there, even if I managed to get away, we're up against an ELC even on a map like this. Basically, he's going to be invincible, and he's just going to, in the end, snipe me to death. You know, no point for me to try to prolong my misery. But that is the gist of the TL-7 120mm. This is a tank that is not bad to play, it's not terrible, but it is definitely not a hero tank, not a tank that you're going to, you know, be carrying games and you know, being the alpha tank in the game. You are going to have a couple of good games in it, you know, every so often. It's not a terrible tank, but is it going to be a favorite tank, a go-to tank, a tank that you're going to be, you know, playing a lot of because it's so fun? No, this is not it. If you are trying to buy boxes to get this tank, this is the wrong tank. Anyway, that is my first reaction videos for the TL-7. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.